Just hold it until the
VR ready, ha ha ha. Sorry.
Be very quiet.
Oh, it might be mine. Hold on.
I know he wasn't able to come to the event a couple days ago at Irvine, but hopefully he'll be able to come on the 30th.
We wouldn't.
We would not call you radio.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
Let me go left to right here. And
Sorry, I was just notified that my voice was not working. I'm sorry about that. Let's do a quicker intro. My name is Drax Dupre. This is the Drax Files Radio Hour live from Sansar, Sansar Live Edition. Can you guys hear me? I know there's people in 114 Harvest and there's people on YouTube. And just let me know if the audio is okay. Today we're going to talk about the movie and the research of Our Digital Selves because the film that I made that came out yesterday on YouTube. Um, Please blow your nose with your mic closed. Somebody was doing that. This must have been a gecko. There's a gecko right next to me. Really scary. And a woman that blows incessant bubbles. Um, the research is a 3-year study. We're talking about the research. We're talking about the film. We're talking about the subject matter. The film Our Digital Selves has been released yesterday, and today we have an illustrious a gaggle of avatars here. I'm going to go left to right. And so you guys hear me? You guys hear me in Harvest? Just type it in on. Actually, you can't. Anyways, on the left is Shyla the Super Gecko, star of the film, one of the stars. Hello, Shyla.
Yeah, I'm not the star. This is a great film with a lot of great people. But hi, everyone.
It's an ensemble
Good
cast.
to see everybody. It's an amazing film, and it has amazing people, and it's great to see so many of them here today.
It's an ensemble cast. Ryan Schultz is next year. Ryan Schultz, you're not in the movie. Why are you on this show? I'm just joking.
I'm here because you posted the link in your private Slack channel. So I am a party crasher.
That's how I roll.
So.
No, Ryan is a really valued member who I just met in Sansar, but you've been in Second Life for a long time, and you blog, and you do tremendously good blogging, and you did a wonderful blog on also on depression, and you went into some personal detail, very very open, and giving a lot of hope. And I think that ties in with the film a lot, because the film is also about invisible disabilities. We're going to go to Jaden soon, who in the film proposes a brain sling that makes it visible that there is a invisible disability possibly happening. Next here, if I go left to right, is Tom Boellstorff, one of the researchers in the film. Donna Davis couldn't make it. Your partner. Hi, Tom.
Hey. Hey, everyone.
Tom is in the film, and I have about an hour road trip material with you, which we release on the DVD extras, where we.
Woohoo! Awesome. Just keep it like PG-13, okay?
Yes, absolutely. All the other bits are going to be cut out. And
yeah,
then
that'll be the very special edition.
Jaden Firehawk. Jaden Firehawk is right next to you. And Jaden, I'm not sure if we had some mic issues, some feedback issues. Jaden will be talking in chat as well, and then we'll bring that in. So Jaden is also one of the protagonists in the film. Next to Jaden is Ice Guy Silverweb. Ice Guy Silverweb is also featured in the film, and Ice Guy cannot hear us, so we will put stuff in text chat, and then Ice Guy can jump into the conversation anytime she likes. Next, and that's actually Ice Guy says in the film.
But I can sure speak for myself. Hello.
Exactly. And awesome, Ice Guy. Wait a minute. Is somebody typing this? I don't see this in my VR. But that's one of the points that Ice Guy is making in the film. She's a text-enabled avatar in Second Life. It's a powerful statement. And in Sansar, just very recently, let me bring this up, we have the ability now in VR to see text chat. And that wasn't possible just a few weeks ago. I'm going to bring this up so people can see it. I can actually have a floating text window, so even with my helmet on, I can see what people text. Next to Ice Guy, we have our last guest here. Last but not least is Solus, and I cannot pronounce your last name in second.
Solus is fine. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Solus. And Solus is also featured in the film. Yeah, that's and then we have Donnie over there in the back. She is also she's not featured in the film, but she actually plays an extra. Is that Donnie over there? Donnie there in the background?
Yes,
hello.
Is.
Hello, Donnie.
Hello.
Come in and join us and be fly on the wall. Maybe I'll throw you a question or two. So Tom, can you briefly summarize the study that is behind this, because you have been doing this for 3 years, and please just summarize what the original intent was, and then how does Second Life tie in with these next gen platforms? Because we touch on it in the movie a little bit, and then some people may be confused and go like, yeah, why do some people have VR headsets, and some people don't? Like, is this only Second Life, and did you just tag on that stuff afterwards? What's the relationship in terms of the study when we talk about Second Life vis-a-vis these next generation platforms?
Sure. Well, so Donna and I are finishing up this 3-year
project around disability in virtual worlds at the end of June. But we've been working together for 7 years, and I've been in Second Life for 13 or 14 years, Donna about 10 years. And from the first day, basically, I was in Second Life, I would meet disabled folks of all kinds. I mean, disabled folks have been part of virtual worlds from their very, very beginnings, and Second Life is no exception. And so for years, I had always wanted to do something that looked more closely at disability experience in virtual worlds. And so one thing led to another, and Donna and I were able to get the grant to do this 3-year project, to do a deep dive, to really focus about disability experience in virtual worlds. And part of that is, you know, especially in this day and age of everything that's going on with Facebook and everything else, people talk about the internet as if it's a single thing sometimes. And what we really wanted to think about is, what is it that virtual worlds do and don't do compared to email, Twitter, Slack, Facebook, whatever. When you have a place and you have a body, what happens with that? And specifically, what do disabled folks do when they have those kinds of possibilities? And so that was one reason we were able to get these temporary islands in Second Life for 3 years that we had people build on, to sort of build and express that experience, but also doing a lot of other activities. And originally in the project, we were gonna, from the very beginning, have a pretty heavy VR component looking at Sansar and High Fidelity, which are 2 other virtual worlds that most people listening to this podcast probably know about already. But they were so late in getting to market, basically, and with the VR kind of stuff, that it's only in the last sort of 6 months that we were able to even begin doing much of that. And I think that'll have to be, you know, a future kind of research thing probably. But the good thing for you, Drax, is that meant that we had some money budgeted for VR gear and other things that we weren't able to spend. And the National Science Foundation, Jeff Mance, who's the program director for anthropology, agreed to let us use some of that funds that we weren't using to have you make this documentary. This documentary was not in the original grant proposal. We never planned to do it. It was your fault, Drax, that you were going to do a short thing, and then it grew and turned into a larger thing. But what has been so amazing is, not only is this documentary an amazing film and an amazing record of everything we've done, but it became part of the community activity, so that it became sort of part of the thing to be studied, if you see what I'm saying, that people work together in such an amazing way and said and did things they probably never would have done, you know, otherwise. So it's absolutely not the case that the documentary is just documenting what we were doing otherwise. It actually changed the community and allowed us to do all kinds of interesting things. And there's 13 disabled folks in the documentary, but many, many other people were involved in various ways of doing it. So it really was an unexpected, great experience and pleasure that will be a wonderful record of what we've done and what we'll do moving forward, but was a great thing for the community in general, at least so far as I can tell. So it's really been amazing, and I hope you're catching up on your sleep.
One of the big things that we did was to reenact some of the stories that you guys told me in the interviews. You know, your experience with your disability in the physical world. And so, you know, in a regular documentary, sometimes you either have footage or you reenact that with actors or with the protagonist. And in the case of Second Life, what we then chose to do, that goes to what you were saying, Tom, we chose to build sets and reenact that with sort of Second Life machinima, and that worked out really, really well. So what Tom was saying, just one more context, what was interesting, you had money budgeted for VR gear, and one of the things that happened was that some of the people in the study were actually not able to run it. So that was an interesting sort of chicken and egg conundrum. Not only that the platforms that you wanted to kind of use it to research on were late to market, but also the gear required additional gear. And we talk about it on the podcast often. It's not, you know, it's nice to have an Oculus, but if you don't have a machine that runs it, then it's just a brick.
That's right. If I can just throw in 2 things there. One thing we learned about these barriers or issues around VR is, first of all, yet again, a new technology is being designed, and the danger is it's being designed with disability as an afterthought, which means it will be more difficult and more expensive to make it accessible in the long run. Because right now, most VR gear presumes an able-bodied body that can see and hear and move their hands and stand for long periods and hold a headset with their neck and so on. And there's a real danger that because it matters how things get set up at the beginning. There's a real danger that this is going to get set up so that the incredible potential of this stuff for people with disabilities is going to be an afterthought and be a problem on the other end of it. And then the second thing that you've mentioned, which may get easier in the long run as the technology gets cheaper, but if you study disability for very long and you listen to the experience of disabled folks, certainly in the US, but in other parts of the world as well, you soon learn that disability is about class and income for so many people.
Right.
And that is made worse by all kinds of laws that don't allow people to work if they're getting benefits or only a few hours a week. And so there were many people, involved in this community who would have loved to do more with the VR, but they don't have either a laptop or an internet connection fast enough to run these technologies. And that's not just a side factor. Questions of income and money and class are central to disability experience, unfortunately, for the vast majority of folks. And it's a wonderful and sad illustration of that point.
Okay, we have a newcomer, Alumnia Autumn, who is also part of the movie. She's right behind you. She's walking against the glass. Now she disappeared. She may have crashed. Alumnia is from she's originally from Hungary, but she's in Vienna, and she's seen in the movie in the physical self. Now I'm going to put pedal to the metal here, but there's so much to cover. I'm going to go around the bend. Shyla, and Shyla is typing for Ice Guy. Again, Ice Guy cannot hear us, so somebody please take over from Shyla, because I'm going to ask Shyla next. Tom was mentioning coming in from the very beginning in Second Life that he encountered a lot of people who then he found out have some sort of a disability. And Shyla, I don't know if I think I didn't mention it in the movie, but I think I have tape of you where you say that your theory is, or your hypothesis, but you correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's over 70% of people who have a disability that of Second Lifers have a disability. How do you come to this conclusion? And actually, more importantly, what does that mean? I mean, what does it mean for us? How do we able-bodied people interact or should interact? How should Linden Lab treat this information? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the way I came to that is people weren't open about it in nearby chat. But once you got into a private IM with somebody and I would share that I was disabled, they would say, oh, yes, I'm a vet, I lost a leg, or I have a traumatic brain injury, and these are huge numbers. When you look at the disability groups in Second Life, they don't represent these numbers, which tells me, to me, a lot of these people are coming into the virtual world to have the freedom to be seen for who they are and not for their disability.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think Daisy says in the movie she says it before the internet, she didn't have the power of disclosure. Right? Because her disability is very visible, and she just didn't have that. She was judged visually right away by the way she looks.
And I think we have to be careful, because even though those numbers are really high, it still seems like in Second Life, and as Tom was saying, in the VR world, these people aren't being taken into consideration, or we as a community, is what we are, aren't really being taken into consideration as things are built. And I remember the conversations on Ethnographia Island. There's a mountain that we would sit on and have conversations. And I remember some of the early conversations about class and income and being asked, about can we work or can we not work, and the inhibitors, and trying to figure out how we fit into a society. Like, to me, it's always been a part of, I have discipline, but I can't do regimen. Mm-hmm. And an able-bodied society is a regimented society. You get up at a certain time, you show up at work at a certain time. Yeah, you do the 9 to 5. And that's just not something I can do. And yet, when you look at, to me, disability groups in Second Life, what's amazing is they do get a lot done. Despite these disabilities, they get a lot done as a community, backing each other up and making things happen.
And that's not in the movie. That's a whole nother subject, which I decided we can't. The movie would have been like 3 hours long because the fact that employment is actually, if we look at some of the employment models that small businesses run in Second Life, that is something that could be a great role model to adapt in the physical world, actually, with just sort of filling shifts in a more flexible way as one idea. I'm going to cut people off a little bit to get everybody in the first round. And like I said, I'm going to go chronologically around the bend. And Ice Guy, again, you can chime in anytime. Just we're going to be quiet when you want to chime in. Just talk over us. It feels good. I do it all the time. Ryan, you're not part of this film, but you have your own personal experience with an invisible disability. You watched the film. How does
I don't want to be rude.
There you go.
I don't know what to say. So if someone asks me a question, I'll answer.
Okay, we'll get to you, Ice Guy, and I'll ask you.
Alumni are typing to me and telling me that her internet went down, so she was not able to stay in.
Okay, Alumnia's internet went down. Okay, and then Ice Guy.
She's watching the live stream.
Good. Oh yeah, Alumnia actually can type into YouTube, so I'm gonna bring her in too. And then Ice Guy, I will ask you later. Why do you not want to be rude now that you've been working with me for so long? You should have learned a thing or two. I'm a bad teacher, I guess. Ryan, your take on this movie, the significance of this movie, maybe tying in with your struggles with depression that you've been open about.
Sure.
And encouraging about with your wonderful blog post and that kind of stuff. Please, in the context of virtual worlds, because I feel sometimes virtual worlds can be wonderful, but like Tom says, also some things become invisible, and then we assume that people are quote unquote normal and we expect them to behave in a certain way, and if they're not, we dismiss them as sometimes arrogant, rude, or straight out a-holes. But there could be just so much more in between that. Anyways, take it where you will, Ryan.
Okay, well, as I said, I do apologize for being a party crasher for this particular episode.
Gladly, you're
of
the best.
Podcast.
You're the best party crasher we ever had.
Thank you. I do suffer from a chronic form of depression, and I have had to take sick breaks from work. I've just recently returned to my job after a 2.5-year sick leave long-term disability stint. And for me, part of my recovery from depression was actually getting a virtual reality headset. I purchased an Oculus Rift and touch controllers, and I immersed myself in VR, and it seemed to get my neurons firing. It probably is the best way to describe it. And I recovered from my depression enough that I am now back at work full-time.
But is that something that didn't work for you in Second Life? I mean, that's interesting. So would you say that the added immersion that the headset provides, that really got you going? Was because I heard that sometimes people are, oh my God, I got an Oculus and now I'm not going to go back to Second Life because it's really lame now because now I sort of tasted the honey and I'm not going to go back to.
Well, I've been in Second Life for 11 years now, and I was really, really, really into it
Downstairs.
at first. But then I took a long break, and I didn't come back until I was in Sansar, and I was accepted into the closed beta in December of 2016. And my interest in Sansar and then getting a VR headset kind of brought me back into Second Life. There is something about the immersion, the fact that I'm sitting in my apartment right now, but I'm actually taking part in a broadcast at the same time. There's something very powerful about VR and very immersive. And I think that we're just beginning to understand the impacts of that on mental health issues. There's been some initial research.
Just to get solid to get back.
Wow, we got a whole bunch of new. We got Cody La Scala over here. Oh my God, we got just people coming
Hey,
in.
Cody.
Ryan, please continue.
Do you want me to keep going?
Keep going. This is
because I'm pretty much finished what I had to say.
Okay, then I have to No, go ahead.
I mean, basically what I'm saying is that there was just recently published a meta study of the impact of virtual reality on mental health issues like anxiety and depression. And the researchers think that there might be some sort of a therapeutic effect of VR for people that do suffer from anxiety and depression.
Absolutely, what Ryan was saying, there's this sense of presence of actually being with these other people that are here.
Right.
Even though I am sitting in a place in, the upper Midwest of the U.S., I am talking to people from Vienna and from Germany and from other parts of the country in the U.S. and England, and I mean, there's just something wonderful about that.
Yes, I agree completely. The fact that if you're feeling so depressed that you can't even get out of your own place, but you can still put on a VR headset and interact with people and take part in things like this broadcast, that's very powerful.
It is, but here's the thing now. This leads me perfectly to Jaden, and then Jaden, let me know. We'll try to bring your voice up, and it will all quiet. We shouldn't have a feedback problem. We'll give it a try. What you're saying, Ryan, is if I hear you correctly, is that the headset really offers such an increasing immersion that it is. I'm not putting words in my mouth. Superior to Second Life. Jaden said something very interesting in an interview, which I didn't use in the movie. She says that she has PTSD and some severe anxiety issues as well. And she actually says that the mediated exposure, those are your words, Jaden, that Second Life provides, are actually better for you, because you said in the interview that you would be actually quite afraid to put the headset on and shut out all the surrounding physical world, and that the fact that Second Life you can be engaged, you can be immersed, but you still have kind of the control of knowing what's going on around you is for you ideal. So Jaden, comment on that. That I find that fascinating. That it's fascinating where the train is headed, that this stuff is being used to treat these conditions. But on the other hand, I can completely understand that they may, in your case, as you're saying, really exacerbate them. Jaden, you got to click on your mic on the right and unmute that mic.
Jaden is in text, I believe.
Okay. So as Jaden is formulating her thoughts, and we're going to read them off the screen here. Here's Cody coming in.
Hey, Cody.
Hey! Cody! Let's do a big wave to. Can everybody wave to Cody? / wave. Hey, Cody, finally.
Hey. Hi.
Party can start now.
Okay.
Yes, now we can get partying. Now we got Cody here. It's time to party.
Cody, I'm gonna ask you a specific question in just a second, but Jaden is, we're gonna go chronologically from left to right. So mute your mic for just a sec, please. And I'll read what Jaden responds in text, and then I'll bring you in right away. Jaden says, yes, let me first say that being 90 to 95% a text-enabled avatar, cue to be being horribly mic shy. Ah, yes. See, this is another aspect.
Is there room in this room?
Which is
with Cody here too? Big guy,
Huh.
Oh, yeah, Cody's tall. So Jaden is actually bringing up another good point, which is a paradigm shift with the focus on voice. And maybe, Tom, you can chime in there for just a second, and then we'll bring Cody in. Jaden is also hinting at the fact that the headset, the next generation virtual worlds focus very much on voice. Actually, Ice Guy was probably going to comment on that too. But what do you see as a problem here, Tom, or as an opportunity? I mean, the problem I see is that it creates another sort of split where people who do not choose to use voice are maybe being seen as, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong, or you hiding,
Yeah,
or
well, that
what's
happened
the
when
problem?
voice got introduced into Second Life.
That's right.
So the first thing is that, these technologies have incredible possibilities around sort of medical therapeutic uses, but it won't be one size fits all. So like in some cases, the VR will be helpful, and in some cases it might be hurtful, right? It really depends on the thing. And it does make some disabilities invisible so that you get to choose when to disclose. It can also have the opposite effect. Someone I know who has Parkinson's once was in tears at one of a support group meeting because she was hanging out with some people and they said, what the hell are you doing in Second Life drunk? Go sober up before you're here. And she was making a lot of typing errors because of the tremors of her Parkinson's disease. So the keyboard was making her disability more visible than it was in the physical world, right? So it makes some disabilities less visible and gives you that power to disclose. But for some disabilities, it can have the opposite effect. But the big point you're making here that we've got to keep in mind with this new VR stuff is that there's two kinds of immersion. There's sensory immersion and there's social immersion. And for most people, we consistently find that social immersion is the most important thing. And people can have amazing social immersion on Twitter or Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. Social immersion does not require sensory immersion. Now, sensory immersion, having this 3D VR stuff, has a lot of great possibilities. It can sometimes lead to better social immersion, but not always. And the danger is we're going to get a hierarchy where people assume that the sensory immersion is more real, more authentic than sort of 2D, so to speak, immersion. And the danger there then is that people with sensory disabilities who are blind, who are deaf, or just hard of hearing, have vision impairments, for instance, will be seen as having less real, less authentic experiences. And that is just wrong. It is empirically wrong. People who are blind in the physical world have as real of a life as anyone else. So the sensory immersion is an add-on possibility that we now have with these things like Sansar. It's a great potential thing, but it's not that it makes it more real or more authentic. That's why, when we did an interview a little while ago, I said, to me, the real sign of Sansar being a success is when it's a success in 2D desktop mode, as well as the 3D mode, when it doesn't depend on that.
Ice Guy, go ahead. Let's see if Ice Guy...
I wanted to know, what does authentic mean?
That is the exact question, and I don't know. I don't have a simple answer because that it's debated what it means. But I know for a fact it doesn't mean that you put on a VR headset and it's more authentic. That I know.
And that's something... Cody, go ahead.
I think,
Yeah. How are you? It's been awesome. Yeah. So far, and I cannot say that enough for opportunity that you gave to me.
Cody is saying that it's been an awesome experience, and he can't thank. I don't know if he's thanking me or us. I'm thanking him. Enough to be part of this movie. I'm gonna mute you real quick, Cody, because we got feedback. It's all good. Real quick, and then I'll let you speak. I want to say that Cody in the movie is being seen as a director directing his own. That's to me one of the most powerful scenes. He's directing his own accident that he had as a baby when he nearly drowned at 1 year old, and we reenacted that with machinima. And we built a set, his house in Palm Springs that he lived in at the time with his mom. And we asked Cody, do you want to really do this? Do you want us to reenact how you as a baby crawl into the pool and drown? And he said, yes, I want to do that. And Cody was on the set in Second Life. and he basically directed it. And he was very, very particular about the outfit of his mother. His mother was played by I forgot. We had so many different people, and Marianne played, I think, his caregiver, and so incredibly powerful. But Cody, go ahead.
Marianne was the baby, wasn't she? And I was the nanny,
Oh,
and
Shyla, you were the nanny.
Daisy Gator was his mom.
Oh my God! See, I'm really, I need sleep. You played the care. You played the nanny. Daisy played his mom, and Marianne played the baby running from the play room into the pool.
To the pool. Yeah. Oh. My mom was like, yes. She said, okay. And I do get what I did.
Cody?
Oh.
Cody does not regret what he did in terms of filming this scene.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's actually what people asked. People were like, "Oh my God, how could you know?" And I tell people that I mean, I've got to know you better. I'm not claiming that I really, really know you. Who claims that we really know people? But the sense I get from you is an incredibly inspiring sense of being at peace with a lot that happened in your life, which can, for me as an able-bodied person, is incredibly inspirational. Um, and I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. What you also say this to Philip Rosedale in the film, I think, when he says, what should your favorite avatar be?" And you say something like, "Well, my favorite avatar is me because I'm so full of myself." Yeah.
That's great.
Here's how I look.
You look great.
Oh, how do you look? You can look at yourself if you press F3. And for people who are watching this or listening this on the podcast, Cody is maneuvering in the virtual world with his foot. He uses a what do you call it?
Trackball.
A trackball. Thank you. A trackball with his foot, and Cody uses his nose to type on an iPhone, but the iPhone is not connected to the machine, so you actually also type with your foot in Second Life or in here.
I was Drax, not me, dude. But I was thinking about what Tom was talking about, and I was also thinking about some of the things Illumnia says in the film about, kind of the assumptions. Like, if you don't have the right kind of avatar, if you don't have the right, in that same conversation with Tom about this hierarchy, if you're in 2D mode versus whether you're using a headset, and that's huge. I just wish there was I wish I knew the answer to this, of how we don't get into this judging people based on what their capabilities are, because it follows us right into the virtual world.
Absolutely. And I want to bring in Illumnia because now this, and Cody, I'm sorry, I got to go around the bend in a fairly frantic way to get everybody's voice in. Because Illumnia talks about this in the movie also. She says that peer pressure, her segment is a little bit about peer pressure as it happens in Second Life, that in Second Life people are being judged by just exactly how we're judging each other in the physical world. Now we have bento avatars with moving fingers. We have had mesh avatars for a while. And so that's what Illumnia says in the movie. Illumnia, do you see any sort of rescue from that peer pressure at all? I mean, I don't have a mesh avatar. But I'm also a celebrity, so I guess that's why people still talk to me. Otherwise, they go like, "Who's this guy?"
Everybody wants to be Drax.
Alumnia, can you hear us? Maybe Alumnia doesn't have a mic. Let me scroll back through the chat and make sure that I have Jaden. Jaden says,
I just thought to be Ice Guy.
Ice Guy, yeah, jump on in. Jump on in. Jaden says, I remember telling you that I'm uncomfortable with a VR headset due to the 360 visual field confinement. Exactly, 360 degree. Yeah, Ice Guy, what do you feel? You've been in Sansar a few times. What do you feel? How do you feel about Sansar?
Sorry. The reason I was asking about the word authentic is because when you talk about a more authentic experience, I was thinking along the lines of how I am able to see text whenever someone types something, or expresses themselves. But in the real world, I don't get to walk around with, text floating around, so that I could understand people. I have to rely on interpreters in my own language. And so living in a world where everyone around me speaks a language that is foreign to me. And, authenticity, I think, is kind of a very difficult word.
Yeah, it is.
How do I feel about Sansar? I just read what Drax said. It has enormous potential. I really would love it, though. It would make it easier for everyone around me if text and speech could be automated so that, you don't have to slow down, you don't have to remember to type for me, you don't have to remember, I don't have to remember to voice. It would be just fantastic because then it makes life easier for everyone. I was very impatient with myself, too, because I was thinking, if only I could. But not if only I could hear, but if only I could access everyone's talking more easily. That is really the area that I struggle with. Not because Sansar is in beta, but it is ease of use for everyone, not just me. But being able to access what everyone says without everyone having to stop and remember they have to type because last guy is here.
But
and I don't have to, be constantly alert to what everyone is saying. And we always.
Shyla, can you type for me? Because I was going to ask if this is not the same issue in Second Life.
Yes, but I am fortunate to be a member of a community in virtuality where it is just a given that whenever I am participating in something in virtuality, the assumption very frequently is that someone will type in text.
So this is
being a member of an inclusive community.
Being a member of an inclusive community.
Yeah.
So,
and here we have more of the inclusivity in this group than I think in Sansar a lot.
Mm-hmm. So inclusive communities have to develop.
Inclusive communities have to be what is the term? Well, it has to be the standard. It has to be just the way it is.
Yeah, but is that not due to the people?
Communities have to be inclusive.
If they are willing to be inclusive, how do you change people's behavior on the street?
That's the whole thing now. If they are willing, and if they are not willing, then I lose access to that person and what they are thinking, what is on their mind, their feelings, their experiences. And to me, that's a huge loss. I always want to know what you think. What are your ideas? I want to be a part of your world sometimes. And so something like this is huge for me because it allows me to be part of the experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Let me bring...
I made a comment to Slayton last night when we were talking.
Go ahead.
He does not come into Sansar because he finds it very oppressive for himself. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it's due to his PTSD. So we were talking, and I was saying how he and I have interesting parallels. Well, now with his PTSD, the result of his condition, he's shut down to the world. And for me, it is a little bit different. I am shut out from the world. Mm-hmm. But he understood this. And that is what makes the relationship between myself and Slayton so special to me, is that here is someone who really understands what that experience is like. Mm-hmm. Even though his is slightly different. It is the being shut out, or being shut away. So when we were working on this film, and when I was part of the discussions and everything, this was a very important thing to me. And I am hoping that the film itself will bring that home to people who watch it, that they get a sense of what that experience is like for each of us, mm-hmm. with our individual disabilities.
Okay. Okay, I'm moving.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just say something quick? I was just going to say, because to me, one of the things I hope people get too is how amazing and how much, to me, I always want to type for Ice Guy because I want to hear what she has to say. I want to hear what Cody has to say. These are huge people in my life.
I'm still so new here in Sansar that I am not sure. I am seeing that I am getting a message from someone, but I don't see who. So I am still learning this.
Yeah, this is an interface question. These are really, really good points. I hope that the powers that be. I have Cody. I have you muted temporarily just because you come out through your speakers, which I understand. So I'll unmute you when I'll ask you the question. Alumnia, can you chime in real quick? You had voice issues.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. There you go.
Yes. Oh God, thank you. I'm sorry. Technology is very against me today. Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Then Alumnia, let me ask you one question. We gotta be quick. The hour is almost over. We can go a little bit over time. But Solus hasn't even spoken yet. I want to bring Solus in too. Now, oops, Jaden just disappeared. Alumnia, you were talking about the peer pressure, which I find really interesting. Do you think there's any way to put the genie back in the bottle, or is this just, am I naive to believe that the virtual worlds can be better than the physical world, where we constantly compare each other about like, oh, I got a better car, I got a better this and that?
Well, to be honest, I talked about a lot of things with you, but seemingly you really enjoyed this idea of peer pressure in a virtual world.
Alumnia, I don't want to nail you down on one aspect. You have a lot to say, but we only have 15 minutes left, so I got to pick one.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You like the peer pressure idea. It actually happened in some communities, and your question is that, can there anything be done against that? Or?
I ignore it.
Ice Guy just ignores it. No, okay, you know what, Alumnia, because serious, you have a lot. I can release an entire movie just on you. I mean, just on anybody in this group, and you do have a lot to say. So you know what? Let me not nail you down on this peer pressure thing. What does the movie mean to you, or what does the participation in it mean to you? What are your hopes that people get out of it? Take it where you will.
Well, what I think that what people get out of it is that they can finally see that people, how to explain it? Oh dear, you gave me an even harder question.
And keep it to 60 seconds. Sorry, I didn't want to make it anymore.
Okay. In my opinion, it was just extremely important to finally make an independent documentary about people and people talking about their life experiences. And I know that many people, I showed their trailers, they said that, oh yeah, poor disabled people, they finally have somewhere to go, somewhere to be, and I said that this is not what we want you to understand from this movie, but that
who
Sorry?
was asking about the could release an entire film to whom?
On anybody.
Sorry?
No. Iska was saying release an entire film on whom. I was going to say on everybody. Alumnia,
Yep.
are you saying that that when people see that there are real people and not just sort of weirdos? I mean, except for me.
No, I didn't say that. We are all special snowflakes, okay?
Sorry, 1 moment. I have a little emergency with the power.
Yes.
Go ahead, Alumnia.
So, again, what is the question?
Take it where you will. You were going there. I stepped on you because Ice Guy was coming in. The significance of showing these stories, I think, is where you were going.
Well, let's be honest, in the media, very rarely do you get proper representation of people, right? There are people who are always marginalized. And then, for example, show me a single documentary. Okay, I'm sure there are many documentaries, but documentaries that go into this topic, like this whole people living with different abilities, use technology. It is very rare, and I love it that there is no actual... Sorry? Oh, okay. And I love it that there is no trying to give a very bad hidden message. And for example, a very fascinating thing about this documentary was the freedom you gave the people to represent their own stories, their own voices. Let them narrate the things that happen to them instead of just you trying to give your own perspective, because then it can actually give an interpretation of these stories. And what I just found very fascinating, that people who are differently abled, visible or invisible disabilities, they don't always get the choice to pick the voice that represents them. Or they are being represented in a certain way that they, for example, don't agree with. And it happens a lot in the media, in mass media as well. And thanks to the internet and thanks to your work, for example, and thanks to Tom's and Trudy's work, is to try to find a way to actually study these movements in society.
Is this not also, what I realized is that because a lot of people are seen in the documentary only with their avatars, and that's I want to, and people who are represented in the media, you're making such an important point, are usually people who are extrovert in nature, and so people who are more introvert, they don't get their say. So the whole what is painted in front of the public's eyes is a very skewed picture, and I think that when you're allowed to speak through your avatar, at least theoretically, that could bring a lot more people into the mix who would otherwise not entertain the idea to speak. For example, Lady in the film, she's not, she's very expressive. She has a lot to say, and she wouldn't say that if a camera would stare her in the face, would she?
Maybe not, because I don't know Lady that well. I just know that she's a very lovely woman who has extremely hardcore maternal instincts that I very envy of her. Because, oh my God, I tried only one baby in Second Life and I was already having a meltdown that, oh my gosh, I can't even do that much.
She has 7
but
babies, just to give context.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear, okay. Now, what I wanted to say that there is this lovely woman whose name currently escapes me. She's a sex surrogate, a form of sexual therapist for people with visible or invisible different abilities. And she said that everybody deserves a seat at the table because how some people tell her about what is it like that, let's say you are disabled, and then people say that, oh yeah, sexuality or your gender or whatever, you are just a genderless person, you don't deserve a proper representation, you cannot be looked at as somebody somebody gets romantically or sexually involved with, or in a very, very bad sense, for example, in fetishization. she says that it is extremely important to let everybody, just like in a restaurant, imagine that you would go into a restaurant and people just wouldn't serve you because you don't fit to the table. And she believes that everybody has a right to sit at the table and everybody has a right to express themselves as they are. And I think it is the exact same if we don't just look at sexuality, but on every other aspect of life.
That is really well said. Sorry, Alumnia, I'm going to cut you off in the interest of,
cut me,
of
yes.
time. And no, I didn't say it like that. Alumnia is always... Oh, sorry. Ice Guy was saying something, and she was a little soft here. Ice Guy, jump in, and also Cody is coming back in. Cody, give me 1 second to bring Solus in, because Solus has not spoken, and
we have the freedom to be different.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to conform to social expectations of us.
Mm-hmm.
Something I struggle with.
I'm loving it.
But yes.
Mm-hmm. So, Ice Guy, we have the freedom to be different. Solus, speaking about representation, you chose to be seen in your physical self in the movie, which I'm very grateful for. I could not force anybody to do this. I have been in situations where I was asked to provide material for other documentaries concerning Second Life, and people told me straight out from very prominent news organizations that, oh yeah, if I can't get the person in the physical world, they wouldn't show the footage. And I find that incredible, and that's what we're talking about.
Silly.
But Solus, my question is, were you concerned? Was this something that you really had to struggle with?
I'm a very sort of shy, believe it or not, reserved person, and it was kind of a test. I'm one of those people that dare myself. I'm kind of feisty by nature, and it was a test. I mean, I have spent, what, 10...
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No, can't bring Solus back. Oh, crap.
She sounds great.
No. I muted her on accident because I was muting...
Oh,
Ice Guys, the parrot was...
Did I?
You sound wonderful,
Solus, sorry. Please
so
start
where
from
did
the
I leave
top.
Off?
No.
Okay.
I muted you by accident because I was muting Ice Guy, the wonderful parrot.
Oh, is that where the cool parrot is?
Yeah.
Let me, hold on. I got to do that too. Hang on.
I was just temporarily muting you, Ice Guy. Sorry.
Yeah,
because it's all going to end up on one track. So you were saying that you were more shy, and yes, go ahead.
I am very shy and reserved by nature, and so I dare myself to push myself outside of my comfort zone. And after having basically, I have a feisty personality, and living behind an avatar for almost 11 years, it was kind of thinking it was time to put a face with the voice, and I was actually scared to death how people would see me, kind of as I don't know. So yeah, it was a dare, but it was
why?
I
mean, is it because people judge? I mean, we know that people judge, and people...
You know what? Because everybody knows I'm from the fashion industry and stuff, and in a sense, they knew. Oh God, Solus, she's. They have this illusion of what I look like. They have this illusion from my voice and this and that. And then, and they put a face with the name, and I don't know, I'm always afraid people are going to be disappointed with who I am. But so to me, it was a learning experience too, to come into terms with myself. It's so easy to hide behind the avatar and to create an illusion of yourself. And which is fine and which is healthy to a point, but it was also very important to me to actually be the person I really am, and to accept me as someone with Parkinson, as someone that has that can push myself and be the person I want to be, but at the same time I have to accept the person I am now. And this documentary helped me do that. And I hope that people who see the documentary will realize that, yeah, these people are disabled, but man, they're a feisty bunch, and they're pushing themselves to be more than what their disability is. And that's important. because things were slowly stripped out of my life from this condition. I won't even call it an illness. It's a condition. It's a lifestyle that I had to adjust to. And I had to give up a lot. But at the same time, I slowly found a way to take back everything I loved, everything I had a passion of. And Second Life and Sansar gave me the ability to make that happen. And I'm almost in tears right now thinking about it, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't find that. I mean, unfortunately, because of my marriage, I live in a very rural area. I'm not in the Bay Area
other people
anymore.
are saying that.
So I had to find
according
ways
to whom?
to be around,
What are we pushing?
the people.
Limits?
Hold on.
We had limits.
One person at a time. Sorry, Ice Guy was jumping in. I keep calling her Ice Guy. That's really bad.
Sorry, because of the parrot, I muted her. I didn't hear her.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's my turn to talk. I don't want to
It is.
talk over someone else, so let me know when I can speak.
You can speak.
Who's?
It is
Okay.
always your turn.
Conformity and being different is something that's kind of... Oh, stop that now, Drax. I don't want to be rude or to dominate too much. But something about the being different. The expectation when... Thank you. The expectation when I was growing up, being deaf, there was always the first instinct that a parent has when they are told that they have a deaf child is, oh my God, we've got to get them to fix them. We've got to fix them. They have to be able to hear. They have to be able to speak.
Okay. So Ice Guy was wrapping it up.
Okay.
No.
Well,
Keep going.
Don't need fixing. Exactly. So when Charlotte said that, I was just dancing on my chair. Oh, yes, exactly. We don't need to be fixed. And I grew up with, my parents going up, doing everything they thought they could do. They were told by an expert that, no, you should not allow her to be in contact with other deaf children. She will never talk. And all these, things. And so my parents were doing the best they could. They were doing what they thought was right. And I see that now. But for many years, I was furious with them. I was so angry because they isolated. They isolated me from other deaf people. So I grew up thinking that, by the time I was 18, I was going to die because I did not know any deaf adults. So my father one day came to me when I was about 15, 16, and he said, what are you going to do with your life, Which university are you going to go to? And I was looking at him like, what's the point? I'm going to be dead anyway. So that kind of thing is when these people had these expectations for me that I did not understand. And I thought, I had to do all these things, but why? I had to talk, I had to hear, I had to use my hearing aids, I had to do this, I had to do that, but did not understand why. And so I'm kind of catching up now. I'm well-established adult, what's like the next to call amateur teen. I am now looking and thinking, now I have to catch up because I've missed so much. Amateur teen. Mm-hmm. And I love that term. Mm-hmm. So I am catching up. I am getting to do things. And every day when we are exposed to these new technologies like this, the documentary brought this home, I think. I hope it does. That we are now getting more and more empowered. We are getting more and more able to do things that we could not do before. That society has pushed us out, or shut us out from. And now... Thank you guys for this documentary. Thank you for giving us a voice and for letting each of us tell our stories, because I think this helps people to understand more.
Well, this is my place of saying that. Thank you for being open. Thank you for trusting me, and to get the story right. And Daisy has this little thing in the movie where where we reenacted it. She says, the relationship between disabled folks and the media is not a good one because frankly, most stories are about, oh, look, there's this poor disabled person sitting in a room all by himself and sort of being depressed, and then the coverage is very sort of steeped in this in these stereotypes.
And just to throw in something real quick there, Drax, that we said before, is people always ask me what's happening next in the future. And I always say, I don't have a time machine. I can't predict the future, but my best guess is watch what disabled folks are doing, because throughout the history of technology, they have been the pioneers at creatively using new technologies. And one great thing I think you see in the documentary is everyone who's in the documentary using Second Life or Sansar, using these technologies, not necessarily for a job or for a medical therapy or whatever, but for every day hanging out and interacting, the kind of thing that we just take for granted and don't necessarily value, but they're telling us something, which is that's actually really, really important.
Mm-hmm. And Donna is not here. Your colleague Donna Davis from the University of Oregon. It reminds me what you were just saying. She says in the film, I think I'm not even sure if I cut it out, but she says the promise and the peril, or maybe my chapter was called Promise and the Peril. So as we have heard in this hour, and Solis also put it with her own anxiety to reveal who she is in the physical world, and Solis is very well known in Second Life and in Sansar with her avatar persona. So it takes a tremendous courage because as we have established, there is a sense of judgment, or there can be. And Donna Davis has said that there is a promise, but there's also a peril, and the peril is
This is Guy. I'm seeing
Ice Guy crashed and she came back, but she came back before she actually crashed. So Cody, you have the semi-last word, and then everyone has a little closing thing, and then Donnie, I want to bring in you. And Donnie's very patient here. Wonderful friend Donnie, who plays an extra in the movie. Cody, did you wanted to take it where you will, Cody? It's Say Anything Cody Day. Say anything at the end of the movie, Cody. At the end of the podcast, I should say. Did I unmute Cody? I hope that.
I'm not sure if you did.
Maybe Cody. Maybe
I
Cody
don't hear him
crashed
talking.
Too.
Yeah, I don't hear him
I
talking.
think I'm crashing.
Oh.
You sound fine to me.
You sound good, Ryan.
You sound okay, Ryan.
Okay.
You're okay.
Okay, so last words.
Maybe Cody muted himself.
Nice.
Oh, that's possible.
Cody.
That's
hey,
possible.
Cody, and unmute yourself if you muted yourself.
And this is something, and maybe Cody wants to say this by himself, but I found that so interesting that Cody has expressed to us that it is hard for him in Second Life to get in touch with people because he takes a long time to type, because he types with his foot. And when he speaks, people also don't have the patience to ask him, can you repeat this? Or make an effort to understand him. It's fascinating with Cody that I have, Tom, when we visited him, it took a little while, but then it's perfect. You can totally understand what he's saying. And his caregiver, Cece, who obviously is with him, I think 3 days a week, completely understands him. And it's just like, are you willing to learn a foreign language, right?
Exactly.
Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to invest that time? Is that human being worth it to you? And so I guess that's the question. So my last question to everybody in the room, keep it to 45 seconds. What can we learn? What can able-bodied people you know, like myself, good-looking people with dreadlocks and and flip-flops and white socks and.
Hey, I had to work to understand you for a while too, Drax. So, you know, there's a learning curve. You know, I still don't think I really understand you half the time, but more or less.
I don't think it's. I don't
Well,
think it's
wait,
as hard
Tom
as
has a German
language.
last name. I
That's
thought you
right.
understand me.
Yeah. It's not as hard as a foreign language, but it does just take a little time.
So what can we learn? I think Shyla, you have movie quoted, but anybody chime in?
We're unstoppable.
Able people can learn to look at our abilities and not our disabilities.
Exactly.
We are not our disabilities.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
That's awesome. Yep.
If I can say something.
Donnie, please. And that's Tom's cell phone, and that's why he's so hard to understand. A man who has that as a ringtone, there is something really strange.
Hey.
Don't pick on Tom.
Sorry, you can pick on me all you want.
Sorry, Donnie, go ahead.
No, I think the others have much more interesting things to say. But the thing is, I think that you and I, basically, although maybe you and I not, but normal people, as far as normal exists, is that how judgmental we can be if we see someone and we think there is nothing going on. I mean, in this case, it goes about MS and all other sorts of things, but there are other diseases which people don't realize that people can have and what those people are going through. And documentaries like this, I think these are so important, really important, because even if you get to see 5 people thinking about it, it's a win.
Something else, I think.
Exactly.
I promise, Drax, I won't take 45 seconds.
You can take 46.
I just want to say thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Drax, and Tom,
Yes.
and Donna.
Thank you, Drax, and Tom, and Donna.
Great job. It's all Drax, man. I mean, this is his baby. He's done a great job with it.
That's all you guys, really. I mean, it's a collaboration.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you, Drax.
Thank you, Drax. Thank you, Tom and Donna, also.
Donna is not here.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Donna.
Can we have a yearly reunion?
Oh, we can.
Oh,
Well,
my God, yes. Weekly reunion. Don't worry.
well, Tom. Let's not stretch our luck. We're getting along, and we want to rock the boat.
There you go.
But
Okay.
actually, one question that I forgot to ask is the term disability. I sent the film around a little bit with friends to review.
Oh, I would like them to be monthly.
And a lot of people say that disability.
Really? Yes.
Actually, we can do this, Ice Guy. Please, somebody translate. We're going to turn the 114 Harvest community into an inclusive community, and we can actually have this open and maybe as a dialogue between so-called able-bodied and so-called disabled people, and we can have weekly events, and I think that's the power that we have, and that's the power that a social virtual world can give us, that we can take the initiative to do that. And Shyla, Solas, Alumnia, Ice Guy, Donnie, and not yet Cody, I got to talk to him, live actually in 114 Harvest. You live there.
Temporary able-bodied.
Temporary able-bodied. That's what Gentle Heron from Virtual Ability says. That's absolutely right. What's wrong with the term disability? Is there something wrong? Should this be changed? We have a few minutes left. A lot of people have said the movie around, they have a big problem with that term. Go ahead,
I hate that term. I just hate that term only because everybody, every single human on this planet is disabled in one way or another. Yeah. I mean, you could be disabled
on the disability.
In knowledge and
for me, deaf
things.
is my identity. It's not my disability.
Sorry,
part of who I am.
Yeah, I'm repeating. It's your identity.
I see Tom's avatar nodding. Okay.
Ice Guy said something interesting. Well, she said that being deaf is not her disability, it's her identity. But then she also saw the visual cue of you nodding in real time. Which is interesting because that then is a distinct advantage over Second Life or other virtual worlds that don't have real-time tracking. So that's where we could actually, if we want... No?
Exactly.
Deaf is my identity.
Right.
What did I say?
It's not my disability.
Right. Right.
So deaf is who I am. It's not my disability. And, my disability is not me. It's part of who I am. See?
Well, let's...
Yes, sorry. I just realized that.
I can add, Drax, real quick, that just speaking as an anthropologist and seeing what people say out there, there are sort of two schools of thought. And that people, and some people like Cody in the film as well, says I'm not disabled because everyone is temporarily able-bodied or disabled. And it is, for many people, an identity, not a disability. And so people talk about being ability diverse or differently abled. But however, I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just telling you what's out there. There's another school of thought that says when people say ability diverse and basically they're not using the word disability, it's a way for able-bodied people to feel comfortable and to not acknowledge that disability is out there because of society disabling people.
Right.
And that some people very much want to say disability because they feel sometimes people don't use the term just as a way to avoid talking about it and to feel comfortable, and that we need to use the term because it is society's problem that there are disabled people, so to speak. And I'm not saying either school of thought is better. I'm just saying that's sort of out there.
Yeah.
Here's Cody. We can hear you, Cody.
I missed.
We hear you.
Tom looked like he was saying.
Woohoo, Cody. You have the last words.
It's okay. Yeah, I know. Okay. I can wait.
I love you all. I really want to make a part 2.
We need to make a part 2. Cody
That would
goes
be
to
cool.
Washington.
That would be fantastic.
Cody goes to Washington, which he actually did.
We were in Washington, D.C. together, yeah?
Did you guys get footage of that? That would be so cool.
I've got a lot of screen photos, yeah.
Awesome.
I'll share those.
I'm going to wrap up the podcast. Thank you guys so much. And Cody, you have the last word. We're going over.
No, he says.
We're going.
He doesn't want to.
We're going over time, but you know what, Cody? We can do this regularly, and we'll talk right now to bring you into the inclusive harvest community because you should also live here. I think with us, it's a whole wonderful bunch of people. But I just got to wrap up the podcast stream. I want to thank Dawn. Is Cece with you right now? Cody?
Is Ceci with you right now, Cody? Yes, hey, Ceci.
So for people listening to this or watching Ceci is Cecilia.
Hey, Ceci!
Hi,
Ceci is seen in the
She was
film.
in D.C. with us, too.
Oh,
I'll send you pictures of us in the Capitol.
She is Cody's caregiver. Ceci, you didn't want to be in the film. You wanted to be cut out of the film. We ignored your request, and that's a good thing. Sometimes people need to be ignored. How do you feel about?
Hey, how do you feel about not getting cut out?
Cody asked Ceci, how do you feel about not being cut out?
How do you feel about not getting cut out?
I don't know because, to be honest with you, I haven't watched it because I don't want to see myself.
You look awesome.
You look wonderful.
Awesome.
Drax, and I think that's a good thing you've done that because a lot of times the caretakers are the ones that are not being recognized.
Yes, Donnie's making a really important point. Caregivers. That is a whole nother subject. Caretakers are not being appreciated for the work that they do. They're not being compensated, and I mean, they're not compensated to the extent the work that they do.
Alumni, you are too. That hair of yours, gorgeous. I wish I had hair like that. It's beautiful.
Everybody's talking
It's
about
the
the
love
looks.
you see from inside that comes out.
We're not doing a Vanity Fair movie. This is about the inner beauty. The inner beauty. Although my Ralph Lauren glasses, they really shine in the movie. I gotta say. Okay. Awesome. This is it. This is the. This is.
Please, what the movie? Please, what the movie? It is a lovely movie. Thank you so much, everybody, and I love it so much.
It's a lovely movie. Thank you so much, everybody, and I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Cody. And
Love
we
you,
want,
Cody, too.
we want to see you more often here in Sansar and and 114 Harvest, and we'll talk about it, and we'll put this together. So thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Ryan. Shyla had to go. Thank you, Tom, Cody, Ice Guy, Alumnia, Solus, and Jaden, who is also gone. A little bit crashy today. Thanks, everyone. The movie is available on YouTube, and the movie is also available for download. If you send me a message, if you are a qualifying institution or even an individual, just let me know why do you want it, where do you want to show it. It's free. It's made possible by a grant from the National Science Foundation. Very thankful for that, because it enabled me to stay a little bit longer with the protagonist, to go a little bit deeper than I otherwise could. And as we have established, the film was initially supposed to be, I don't know,
What if we ask him
10 minutes.
rudely?
3 minutes long.
3 minutes, yeah.
He would just be speaking his language.
Oh, Ice Guy.
Right?
Sorry, I'm gonna bring up the chat. Ice Guy was saying. Ice Guy repeated, and I'm gonna cut the stream, and this is going to be on the podcast on Monday.
Cool. Those Washington, D.C. photos I'll add to the documentary page on our Digital Selves website. And
yeah.
Drax, I'd love to have a space here as well on 114 Harvest for staying in touch.
You actually do, because there is an Ethnographia house.
Oh, that's right. I'll crash it.
Yeah, you can totally be the you can be the super. You can be the super.
I'll be the super. Can I put objects in there? I want to put like books and fun stuff in there.
Yeah.
And lots of Drax dolls.
Oh, Drax dolls.
Lots of Drax dolls.
Now he's jumping on the table.
I was trying to pick up the book, but you have a Drax doll over here somewhere. Or is it only in the other one?
Oh, there's Squeezy Drax doll. Oh no, they're in the other one.
Drax, I want a copy of Experience on Demand now, please.
Oh, for the digital one for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all of it, and all of Tom's books, please.
We need to make Tom's books as objects and sensor. I gotta wrap this.
Are they not?
What?
I know. We need to make. I have them in Second Life. I just don't have them in Sansar.
Drax, you are
I don't
offending
see
me.
the doll. I don't see the doll in this one.
Yeah, the
I don't think it's here. I don't think it's here.
No, it's in the
Oh,
other
darn
one.
it.
Yeah.
I like the squeezy doll.
The squeezy doll makes sounds.
I know.
Okay,
if they're in his inventory, we can put them in the house.
We're gonna put it in the house, and I'm gonna cut the stream. I'm gonna cut the stream. Where am I? Here I am. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, YouTube.
Love you too, Cody.
Love you,
Love you,
Cody.
Cody.
Man.
You look good. Bye, Cody.
I know. Looking
I know,
good,
you're
Cody.
looking
Bye, Cody.
Thanks for watching, guys. This is coming out on the podcast on Monday, draxfiles.com. The movie is on the YouTubes, and it's linked in the description. Thank you, Silas. Thank you, guys, for watching. I gotta run out and get a little bit of rest. Soundtrack is available, too, I should say that. I should probably link to it. It's coming out on iTunes. It's on CD, baby, but it's gonna be everywhere. Throw me a few shekels, then that's always good to continue working. Goodbye.